So it's been a bit. I've been kind of busy just with life in general, but I have done some work to the daily. I don't know if I mentioned, but I got new lights in this garage, so it's much better to work on stuff. But I got some coilovers for the daily, so it's now lowered. This is not only as low as it go, but I lowered the preload to try and make it lower. Didn't really work, but I think it looks pretty cool. I also made a wooden front splitter on there. It doesn't look the greatest, but it's kind of just to help because the bumper actually on these, if you measure it, you can notice, but the bumper actually sits higher than the front of the skirt. You can actually still kind of see it. And I don't know why that is, but that's how it is just from factory with the TRD kit. I'm guessing that's just because the skirt's a bolt-on and wasn't originally meant to go that low. But yeah, I'm going to be working on the project car sometime soon, the 2J swap. I've narrowed it down. I still have to put, there's a ladybug on there. I got to fix this thing. This is just to invert the signal from the ECU to the coil packs. I just haven't gotten around to actually going into here and messing with these wires that signal from here to here, because I forget which ones, but a random 3 cylinders are working, other 3 are not. So I think it's just the communication between those two, because when I unplug the ECU, it works fine. I forgot how I figured it out. It's been a bit, but I think it's just the communication between those two. But until then, what I'm going to do tonight, as I showed earlier, got the wheels off of the project car. From work, I got some free tires, so I'm just going to throw those on so I don't have to keep airing up the tire on the rear because it's completely flat. To keep rolling the car around. So I'd like to soon figure out that ignition issue, and then I'd also like to figure out this oil leak here. This has been an ongoing issue. You can see how it's wet down there and it's dripping from down there. It's something back here. I don't know exactly what it is. If it's this would be the head and block. I thought it was up there, so it might be behind this cam gear, like its seal or something, but either way, I'll have to look into it and see what it might be, just so I can get working on this thing again, because it's kind of been a bit. It's also getting cold, so I'd like to insulate this garage before it gets too cold. I did get a heater, but that's not going to do much of that insulation. So I'm gonna head out and go get those tires put on. Here's a CBR. I did end up rewrapping it red, and I think it looks pretty good. I've still got to redo the helmet, but I am also trying to continue that business, thinking about working for a different business that's local, but also trying to start one. So we'll see how all that goes. I think that would be a ton of fun to do. I also upgraded the headlights to LED. Gotta say, since redoing the exhaust, the wrap, the splitter, and the coilovers, been loving this car again. Kind of lost interest a little bit, but so like just when I bought it when I was like 16, 17, it scrapes too. I gotta fix that. The angle grinder. For anyone curious, I know I've had people ask before, that's the exhaust is just a high flow catalytic converter, and then everything back is just the foot-long cherry bombs. One of those right after the cat, and the rest is just 2.5-inch exhaust. So what I do like that I did differently this time than the last time I did the exhaust was I got the V-band steel clamps. So it's just a V-band clamp holding the exhaust on, so I can remove it a lot easier than last time it was just straight welded as one piece. And I also painted it, so this time it won't rust apart like it did last time, and then just spew exhaust fumes at the lower control arm. So I'm at the tire machine now to change them, and as you can see, this is probably why it was leaking, all that weather cracking deep in there. So there I got the new tires I'm putting on. I just got them used from a customer since they're having them replaced. I've also got some valve stems there, and yeah, we'll get to it. One done, one to go. Also, definitely recommend anytime you're changing tires, something to clean the bead like a wire wheel. You'll need lube to install the new tires so it doesn't cause tearing or anything. And also highly recommend some sort of bead seal or bead grease so that once the tire is on, it has less of a chance of just leaking naturally. All right, I got the tires back on and I can finally move the car again with just one hand, which makes it a hell of a lot easier to move instead of just having to air it up every single time I want to move the car. So this should stay aired up just fine. I know toe and adjustments for the alignment is way off, but I'll figure that out later. So yeah, I'm going to call it a night for tonight though, just because I have other things to do. Tomorrow, if I have time, I'm going to dive into the wire harness, see if I can get that fixed, and possibly see if I can find this oil leak so that that's also fixed. Because with those two things fixed, I'll need to wire the alternator, run the cooling line, and then make sure all the charge pipes are good, which I'll need to keep doing metal work on them. The other one's hanging somewhere, so I'll have to work on those. Still a lot of work to be done, but it's getting close to the engine running, which is close, and also to driving. So once the engine is running and operating good, then I can just throw a drive shaft in it. This is honestly way closer than I thought it would be, actually. But yeah, for tonight, I'm just going to leave that how it is. It's on the ground now with some nice tires. Well, not nice, but it's got tires that'll hold air. So I'll keep working on it tomorrow. Also, as an update on this car, it's the next day, but we got the motor pulled, and this is my buddy's Audi. As you can see here, this is cylinder 1. The crankshaft's in there. That's not supposed to be like that. So yeah, he's gonna need to get a new motor because cylinder 1 decided, we're guessing they revved way too high. The rod bolts snapped off, and then that ended up destroying the bottom of the oil pan. And then when the crank went back up to try and push the piston back up, it just smacked it through the side of the block, being it was then loose. So yeah, he's gonna need a new motor. We'll be doing that sometime. We're all just trying to budget stuff because, you know, we're young, dumb kids. Or I've hinted towards he could do a 350 swap on it. That's a spare motor that came with his truck. So in case anyone's curious, that's where that is. But as of right now with the project car, I need to clean off this bench since it's so messy. And then I'll get working on that and see if I can figure out the electrical issues. And if I can get it to spark, that is the biggest holdup. Because, again, thinking about it last night, once there's spark, then I need to figure out the oil leak, run the alternator, the cooling lines, and then drive shaft. And steering. I need to fix the steering. Because, as you can see right now, just right in there, we got, right there is where the steering angle pivots, and it should be right there. I'm gonna have to fix that somehow by spacing it out and adjusting it so that I can actually steer instead of right now it's towed way out, and when I jack it up to adjust the steering, it goes right back to normal or towed in. So basically that's fucked up, and that's what's causing bump steer, except it's not hitting a bump, it's just trying to sit normally right now. I will have to figure out coilovers wise if these will work. They might, otherwise they might not. I'll need heavier springs and probably just stiffer suspension in the front, which I don't know if coilovers alone for this will fix, or if I will need to go with something more heavy duty, or if I could just get coilovers and put a heavier spring in, that might work. But I'll have to figure that out in the future. As of right now, it's still just working on getting the thing rolling in the first place. That's looking much better. I'm gonna call that cleaning up. Also swept the floor, so that should be pretty nice. Now I'm just gonna resolder this back together how it was, because plugging this in now, it gets rid of all the buzzing. and it seems to work fine. So I don't think this is the issue at all. Just to make things easier while that's warming up, I'm gonna adjust the toe on this just so that I can roll the car around easier in the future if need be. So it's really just towed way out right now, which makes you fight the whole car and mainly the tires trying to pull it. So fix that, should make it easier to move. All right, so I got done soldering that piece, and I also adjusted the toe so it is a lot more in line with the car, making it a lot easier to move. And I'm gonna see if I can figure out and make sure which cylinders aren't working, so I can mess with this connection in here from this box to here to try and get the non-working cylinders working. All right, so I didn't get too much done on this. I got it wired back together, and I figured out that cylinders 5 and 2 aren't working. No idea why. Again, I'm assuming it's something to do with the ECU, the connection between those two boxes. Didn't figure out the oil leak yet. I'll have to try and get it started and running, and then I can build enough pressure to actually look and see. I'm glad I'm even working on the car again, because it's honestly been a bit since I have. Garage is feeling cleaner, so that should help me work on it more. I'm just motivated to do it more. So I'm gonna go carve pumpkins though with my girlfriend because it's Halloween, or close to Halloween. I'll get working on this in the future. Also, if anyone knows, I'm getting kind of confused. Alternator wiring seems really simple, but I'm just getting lost. If anyone knows how to wire a custom harness for a 2JZ alternator, this one specifically is out of a Lexus IS300, but it's got a 3-pin connector and 1 positive lead as far as recommendations how to wire that, where the 3 wires will go, and then where I should place the 1 lead. I'm guessing that should be on the battery end of the kill switch, just so if I can, or if I need to, I can kill power, and the alternator won't just keep it running. So recommendations will definitely be appreciated. But yeah, for now I'm gonna go do some other stuff, and I'll get back to this in a bit. So it's the next morning, and I'm just gonna show you guys with the coil packs what's going on. Just so in case anyone hasn't seen it yet in any of the previous videos, if you know what's going on, it'd be very helpful. But basically, when I turn the ignition on, cylinders 2 and 5, the coil packs just start buzzing, like they're constantly getting almost like a starter tick. It's like they're constantly getting a signal and then it drops, and I'll just show you guys so you know what I'm talking about. So right now they're not plugged in, and if I go turn the battery on, and this is the ignition switch, don't really hear anything other than some noise from the ECU, which I think is normal. And then if I go and plug these in on cylinders number 5 and 2, now both of them, when I turn it on, make that noise. So I don't know what that is exactly. That's my guess, is just almost like a starter tick is how it's behaving. But if anyone does know, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep working at the ECU and the signal inverter to try and get those to work together, because that's what I think the issue is they're just not communicating properly. Still nothing on the oil leak, haven't really looked at it, but that's where the car sits right now. Any information or tips is greatly appreciated, but I'm gonna call this a video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day.